Hi guys, and welcome back to Hither TMD in O gauge. Today's Friday. I actually made this video on Wednesday, if that makes sense, but I can't get it off the camera, so having to redo the whole thing again. So this video isn't a continuation of the painting of the figures. They're still on the workbench behind you, and that will be the next video to finish those off. What we have got is progress on the depot shed. Steve Smith at Railway Laser Lines has been really helpful, and the original brick that he'd done in the wood MDF for me, this stuff, I got the brick pattern wrong for the brick pillar outside the depot, so he actually went one better, and instead of just making the brick sheet same as that, he produced a kit, all laser cut, for the whole pillar. It was a bit longer, I had to chop a bit off, but this has allowed me to scale the rest of the buildings of the depot. As you know, a long time ago now, I made these beams out of the vari girders, and working from photos I've had to work out how high the bottom of the beam is. Now I've got me brick built lobby there, and this pillar was 3 bricks above the roof line, so it was easy to scale up and work it out, and it clears the logo, so it's all roughly to scale that way. Obviously I've had to compress this part due to the thickness of the baseboards. So I've started constructing the depot building. It's all just out of MDF sheet. This is the brickwork that Steve had previously produced, with some bits of coffee stirrers and other offcuts of MDF. It's not finished yet, still a bit more to do on the front there. But like I say, I've been able to then measure this height, and also this height for working out everything else. So that was where we came to. Now I've ripped the joint. These things happen. We'll come back to that in a minute. So, what happened next? Well, the next thing I did was, working from photographs, construct the shed wall. Some people have seen these on the Facebook groups and things where I've made the shed wall. So we got the low office at the front, the water tower block, and the low wall at the back, with the concrete pillars here for supporting the girders across the shed. This was Mark 1. The Mark 1 version actually came across here and down here, and had the cutout there, because I don't want to go all the way up to the front because of the size of the water tank, because I'm compressing stuff, as we know. So I had 4 roof bays, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this came up to the girder at the end of the first roof bay. Now the problem with that is, I finally found a photograph around the back of the shed that showed this part of the building, this face of the water tank and the office blocks from here. And what it showed me was actually the first pitch of the roof finished here, and then we had, sorry, it was that way, and the water tank started part way up the next pitch. So okay, so I'll cut down here, and I'll stick a bit back in here to move the water tank back slightly, and we're all good. So that was the Mark II version. Well, having done that, a friend of mine, an ex-EC driver, said, do you have so and so book? No. So he put his book out for me, and he sent me a photograph of this. Now these are the plans for Hither Green shed building. Could have done with this like 18 months ago, but it's all good. Thank you very much, Dave. This has been a godsend. So what I have here, this is the outside of the building. I haven't got to worry too much about that, but what you can see here is the part pitch of the second roof that goes up over the water tank, which is why I tried the Mark II version. However, what it turns out is I wasn't quite happy with how it was looking, so I decided I'm going to make the roof into 5 bays. Excuse me. And what we're going to work with is down to here, and a rough approximation of the interior shed wall. Now, this has got here drawn all the office windows, doors, more doors, windows above the doors in the water tower block, and a few other buildings down there, and all the way to the end here where you got the sand dry. So that was from the steam days. However, looking at photographs and looking at this, not everything is exactly the same, but I'll take you through that in a second on the drawing. So this was really helpful and a godsend, because it shows all the concrete joist work and the beams and the pillars that I need to reproduce. So that meant, try not to wreck the joint any more than I've just done. We have come out with the Mark III version. So water tank, one, so it would be 1 bay to about here, yeah, 1 bay to there, 2 bays to there, 3, 4, 5. So I'm trying to get in as much representation of the original building structure as I can. Now this obviously should have been a lot longer, so I've compressed these 2 bays down there at the back of the shed, so you're not going to see a great deal of them. This end of the shed is as close as possible to sort of scale that I'm approximately working to. So we have in the second concrete bay here is a doorway. I think it's a passageway in between a couple of offices. And what was shown, if I just bring it back up here, we have a double door and a window above and 2 windows either side in the water tower block. And the doorway is in the middle, but according to the photographs, the doorway is actually in the first column with the window above and nothing in these 2. I've asked Hither Green drivers on their Facebook group any feedback to confirm any of this. Not had any negative feedback yet, so I'm going to take it as read. I'll be cutting the doorway in this part of the water tank block. So I've drawn on also all the concrete supports. Well, that's all the way around. This was a window of those glass squares that you get in the old bathhouses and things like that. So I've got to scratch my head on how to do those. And you can see the single and pitch. Now I don't have any of the concrete supports here for the roof joists because they're metal. So you have the support pillar here, which will be obviously beefed out with another piece stuck on the front. You actually have a RSJ type H-section girder goes above here, and the cross beams, joists, whatever you want to call them, go across the top of those. So that is where we are. We now have Mark III, and we're sticking with Mark III unless someone tells me that these doors and windows are not where I've got them drawn out, but are actually where the drawing is. But I haven't yet seen anything to confirm or change my mind that the photos show it slightly different to how it was built. Okay, so that is where we are. That is the layout update, and any questions or information that you have to help steer me, guide me in any of that, always happy to accept any information. Hence the drawings, even though it's been scratching my head for a long time. But there we go, that is where we're at. So enjoy your modelling, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, etc. You know the drill, and I'll see you next time when we're going to finish off next week. It'll be now because of work, the figures. So what I'm now going to do before we just cut off here is I'm going to put a montage of the photos that I've got of the planning and the drawing, and everything else will be following. Just a minute or so's worth of photographs for you to peruse to see how I came up with the drawing of the shed wall. So, as I say, enjoy modelling, see you soon, take care, catch you later.